So very briefly, I'd like to invite your attention to Paul's first epistle to the Corinthians. For your consideration, the 8th chapter. The 8th chapter has 13 verses. For the sake of time, I want you to focus in on verse number 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. 1 Corinthians chapter
8.
1 Corinthians chapter 8. I'd like for you to note verse number 9. Even though we're going to seek to be doing or covering this entire chapter. When we all have to say amen. All right, let us read it together. Shall we begin? But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. You may be seated. I want to talk about when weak Christians stumble.
All right.
When weak Christians
Stumble.
When weak Christians
Stumble.
Brothers, I got a problem here.
All right.
It's distracting me. I got a broken fingernail. When weak Christians stumble.
All right.
Brothers and sisters, when we left you from our last discussion, we was talking about the question of marriage. Should I or should I not?
All right.
Because marriage was an issue for the Corinthian Christians.
Amen.
And so they sent a letter to the Apostle Paul in order that he might give them some instructions as it pertained to marriage.
All right.
There were members in the Corinthian church who felt like because they were celibate, because they were virgins, because they was practicing sexual abstinence, that they were better than the Christians who were married.
All right.
There were Christians in the Corinthian church who was married, who felt like they should not have sexual intimacies with their spouse.
All right.
Because in doing so, it was a negative consequence as it pertains to being a Christian.
All right.
And then there were other Christians at the Corinthian church who had gotten married. And after the marriage, one of the partners had received the gospel and become saved, and the question they had was, since my spouse is unsaved, should I get a divorce?
All right.
Paul addressed these issues by suggesting unto them that those who were celibate was not better than those who were married.
All right.
Because celibacy or abstinence from sex was something that had to be on the inside.
All right.
It had to be not only a thought process, it had to be a will.
Amen.
Which means it had to be a call from God.
All right.
I wish I had a witness here.
Amen.
He said, but for those who don't have the call to be celibate, for those who don't have the call to abstain from sexual practices, they should get married.
Amen.
I wish I could talk to somebody.
Amen.
He said to the married couple who was no longer sexually active with each other, that they should engage therefore in order so that Satan do not tempt them to have extramarital sex.
All right.
I wish I had some help here.
Amen.
He said, if you two as a married couple come to the agreement that you're not going to have sex in your marriage, it should only be for a short time.
Amen.
And during that short time, you should give yourselves to fasting and prayer.
All right.
I wish somebody could.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. And then he says to the married couple where the spouse gets saved, that if the unsaved spouse is happy to dwell or live with the Christian, then there's no need to get a divorce.
All right.
But if the unsaved spouse decides to leave the Christian because the Christian is a Christian,
Amen.
and I want to be clear about that.
All right.
Simply because there are some folks that the unsaved spouse wants to leave, not because the other person is a Christian,
All right.
but because the other person is not acting like a Christian.
All right.
Y'all can say amen.
Amen.
Because there are some Christians who are married who raise more hell
All right.
in the marriage
Amen.
than the unsaved.
Amen.
I know
Amen.
y'all don't know nothing about that. There are some hellish Christians
All right.
I wish I had.
All right.
I wish somebody could talk to me that way.
All right.
There are some folks who are Christians in a marriage, when they have an unsaved spouse, use their Christianity to beat up
All right.
on their unsaved spouse.
All right.
But if the unsaved spouse wants to leave because the other person is a Christian, then Paul says, let them leave, and then the saved or the Christian is free then to remarry.
All right.
I wish I had a witness here.
Amen.
But when the Christian remarry, they are only to remarry another Christian.
All right.
Because you do understand, brothers and sisters, that divorce is not an option.
Amen.
Y'all, I'm not getting very many amens, and we covered this for a whole 3 Sundays.
Amen.
Y'all were here, wasn't you?
Amen.
Y'all tired?
No, sir.
Because for tired folks, David said, he maketh me to lie down. Wish I had.
All right.
And for some folk who get tired, quit doing all that stuff on Saturday.
All right. Amen.
You done ran around to every store you possibly could.
Amen.
Then ate out.
All right.
Came home tired as you want to be.
Amen.
Quit doing that.
Amen.
Use Saturday to get ready for Sunday.
Amen.
If you ain't got to work, brothers and sisters, take a nap on Saturday.
All right.
You're not too grown where you can't take a nap.
Amen.
Matter of fact, the older I get, the more a nap sounds
Okay, Pastor.
So I got to go do this today. Let me get a nap in first. Amen.
Amen.
And so, then the Christian is free to marry, because divorce is not
An option.
not an option. Jesus said in the Gospels that from the beginning, it was not the way we perceive it to be now.
All right.
Divorce was not an option. God took male and female
All right.
and made them
One.
one. I wish I had some.
Amen.
Wish I had some help here.
Amen.
And so today I wanted to talk about. What was I going to talk about today? Yeah, when we Christians stumble, because brothers and sisters, all of us and all Christians are not at the same spiritual level.
Amen.